Good morning. Trying to get situated here. There we go. Good morning. Good morning. So I am Belinda Harris, and I'm actually live on YouTube and live on TikTok. So if you see me looking back and forth, that is why I'm trying to talk to both cameras. So I'm Belinda Harris. I am an HR disruptor, and every Wednesday morning at 6:30, I go live on YouTube. On YouTube, I talk about all things HR, whether it's to small business owners, whether it's to people looking for a job, whether it's to managers or supervisors trying to get some advice, whether it's to just all things HR. I talk about that. I also talk about AI. I love talking about AI, and I talk about self-care at work. And on this channel, and every Wednesday at 6:30 a.m., I go live on YouTube. I go live on YouTube and now TikTok to talk about just that, self-care at work. And today, not only am I going to talk about what is self-care at work, but why it is important. So before I get started, if you're watching now, give me a thumbs up, whether you're on YouTube or TikTok, or if you're watching it later, hit replay so that I know that you stopped by. So, what does self-care at work really mean? Why is it important? Because have you ever left work feeling completely drained, exhausted, or over it? If you're feeling that, if you're feeling all those things or have felt all those things, then this live is for you. Now, first things first, people think when they think about self care, they think about things like long baths. They think about spa days, and they think about reading a book with a cup of tea. But let's be real here. Who has time to do all that in the middle of a workday? Nobody. You can't go on a long bath in the middle of a workday. You can't do a spa day on the middle of a workday. And it's hard to sit down and read a book with a cup of tea in the middle of the workday. Because self-care is not just about how you treat yourself in the moment. It's about how you can make sustainable choices that protect your mental, emotional, and physical well-being while working. Now, before I go any further more to that, I want to say one of the reasons why I go live to talk about self-care so early in the morning is that I'm trying to catch people before they head off to work or start work or clock in for work. I'm trying to catch them so that they can already have their day set up mentally, that when they get to work, they'll know what to do. So self-care at work means protecting your energy. It is setting boundaries. It's not overloading yourself. That's what self-care at work means, protecting your energy. It means managing stress, and that's taking breaks, stepping away when you need it. It means taking care of your body, that you're hydrating at work, that you're moving around, that you're eating healthy foods or snacks. It also means creating a supportive environment, which is organizing your space and limiting distractions. So, who at work is able to do all those things all the time? Protect your energy, managing your stress, taking care of your body, create a supportive environment, and meanwhile, while you're still trying to work. So, self care is not just a one and done, it's a process because we spend 1/3 of our lives at work. So, if we don't take care of ourselves while we're working, then what happens? Burnout. Burnout is inevitable. So while we're at work, which we spend 1/3 of our life, we need to make sure that we are practicing self-care. So here are some signs that you're not practicing enough self-care work. Is you wake up already dreading the workday. Now, a lot of us already have that Monday morning blues. So you wake up, be like, here we go, another week. But every day, if you're waking up like that every day, if you're having trouble concentrating or you feel mentally foggy, that is a sign that you're not practicing enough self-care. if you feel exhausted even after sleeping. I talk about making sure you get all of your sleep, all of your rest, because you can't show up as your best self if you're not resting, if you're not sleeping at night. But even after, let's say you got your 7 hours or you got your 8 hours and you still wake up exhausted, that's a sign that you may not be practicing enough self-care at work. You get irritated easily by coworkers or small tasks. Now, we all have those coworkers who you hate to see coming, that you aggravated even just their presence. You automatically are like, but if it's all the time, if you're irritated by that person all the time, or small tasks that you have to do, then that means you're not practicing enough self-care. Or if you feel disconnected from your work or unmotivated. Now, they always say, if you're doing what you love, it doesn't feel like work, and that sounds good in theory. I do what I love, but it feels like work every day. But I love what I do, but it feels like work. So you want to make sure that you're practicing self-care, because if you constantly feel disconnected or unmotivated at work, those are signs that you're not practicing enough self-care at work. Now, be honest. Has anyone felt that way? Do these sound familiar? Like every day, and not just one-offs, because we all have a bad day and maybe even a bad week. And some, and I'm going to stretch it, may even have a bad month. But if every day, every single day, you are feeling one of these every day, or most of these every day, that's a problem. That's a problem and a sign that you're not practicing enough self-care at work. So you're saying, okay, Belinda, I hear you. Yes, yes, yes. I can check the boxes. I feel that way. What can I actually do? I'm at work. I'm supposed to be working. What can I actually do at work? Now, as an HR professional, my goal is not to say, well, don't do anything. That's not my goal, because, HR people want people to work. That's the whole thing. But I can tell you, here are things that I do, that I practice. One is I take real breaks. I take real breaks. Many times, especially if you're on Instagram, you'll hear me say, I'm on my nature break, which is where I go actually outside and get some sun in my eyes. So I take real breaks. A lunch break is not a meeting. A lot of times we're trying to squeeze all this stuff in, and okay, I'll take this meeting during my lunch break. No, that's not a break. To have a clear break from work, you want to set clear boundaries. So don't check emails after work. That's protecting your boundary. I'm sorry. That's protecting your boundary. But take a real break. Step away from your desk. Stretch. Go for a short walk. Take deep breaths. Take a 2-minute pause every hour. Take a 5-minute pause every hour. I mean, those are what breaks are. You may not can take a 30-minute break every hour, but every hour you can take a 2-minute break. Every hour you can stand up, stretch your legs. Every hour maybe you can go outside and get some sun in your eyes. Those are things that you can do. You can take a real break. For your lunch break, you can eat lunch or not, but not work, not take a meeting, not let me catch up on what I've missed, but actually take a lunch break. The second thing that I do is I protect my boundaries. I set clear hours that I'm working. I don't check emails after work. One of the things that I do in the morning is that I don't check emails first thing in the morning. I go through my entire morning routine, which is meditation, reading, exercising, journaling, and stretching, because I'm getting old, so I stretch every day. All of those things before I'm allowed to even look at social media or look at any work things. And I own my own company, so things happen all the time, and I should be looking at my emails, but I set that boundary because doing that burnt me out. The other thing is I don't say yes to everything. I used to say yes to just about anything. Somebody, can you do this, Belinda? Can you do that? I used to say yes, and I would be burnt completely out. And I've learned to say no when my plate is full. And matter of fact, I talked about that last week, but saying no and not feeling guilty. You waited to the 11th hour and now you need my help. I'm already full. My plate is full. I can't help you. That's what I had to learn to do to protect myself, to protect my boundaries. So I don't check emails after work. I don't say yes to everything because my time is also valuable. And I've learned to say no when my plate is full. Those are things that we all can do at work. The other thing is fuel your body. You want to make sure that you are drinking water. Surviving on caffeine and eating at your desk is not self-care. And I'm going to say that one more time. Skipping meals, surviving on caffeine, and eating at your desk is not self-care. A lot of times, again, we're in a rush. We're trying to catch up. We're got coffee coming out our ears. That's not self-care. That's not fueling our body. So you want to make sure that you're drinking water and that you're taking time to eat. You want to be mindful of that. Keep a water bottle at your desk and take a sip every time you complete a task. Some people don't like the taste of water. Put lemon in it, you put all this other stuff in it. But if you're just taking a sip every time you complete a task, you'll be surprised how much water you can actually get into your body. So you want to keep a bottle of water handy that you can drink every time you complete a task. You want to make sure that you're eating healthy snacks. The other thing that I do is that I created a stress reducing routine. And what is that? Is that I set my workspace up in a way that makes me feel calm. I have a clean desk. I have good lighting. Some people put plants on their desk. I have pictures of people that I love and who love me, so that when I look at it, I'm like, yes, it's calming. I listen to noise, relaxing background music. Some people have noise canceling headphones. I don't necessarily like headphones all day long, so I don't have that. But I listen to music, calming music. And I also do a breath work hack. So right before I do a task or start a task, especially if I know it's stressful, I do the inhale 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. And I do that 4 times. And that kind of gets me ready and relaxed to tackle the next to-do list or task that I have. So those are things that I do. I created a stress reducing routine. The other thing too is that I journal. So I have a 5-minute journal that I'll time myself. Look, you got 5 minutes, get it all out, Belinda. These are things that I do. And you may be saying, well, I don't have 5 minutes to spare. Yes, you do. You're worth 5 minutes. You're worth that 2 minutes that I just said. You're worth that 20 seconds for the breath hold. You do have time for that, because doing those things, doing the breathing exercise, my journaling, making sure I'm sipping water, makes me I'm able to show up better and I'm more productive at work. So those few minutes or seconds that I take away for time for myself actually goes right back into the work, because after I've done those things, I feel better and I'm able to produce more and better most of the time. So you are worth those things. And then the other thing that I do, and then I tell people to do, is advocate for yourself. If your workplace is causing burnout, then speak up. Maybe talk to your manager about your workload issues. Suggest some mental health days or to be flexible schedule if that's possible. And if your job is constantly draining you, then it might be time to make a change. Because remember, self-care is not selfish. It's essential. And when you're advocating for yourself, that's when hey, can we take a look at my workload? And you don't have to say it rude or mean. I'm going to need, to take this day off. And a lot of people be like, well, I don't have money to go anywhere. I can't tell you how many times I've taken a vacation and went absolutely nowhere. I was in my house, bothering not a soul, didn't have to answer no emails, didn't have to get up to no alarm, but I was on vacation. Take your PTO. That's the first thing when I'm interviewing people and I talk about PTO. Take your PTO. No one is impressed at the end of the year when you have all this PTO left over, unless it rolls over to the next year or unless you get paid for it. If you don't get any of those things, if like where I work, PTO doesn't roll over. So if you haven't used your PTO, it goes nowhere. You don't get paid for it. And honestly, you look silly having all that PTO and not use it. Use your PTO. Use it for not just doctor's appointments for your children, not just doctor's appointments for yourself. Use it for vacation, absolutely, and use it for days throughout the year where you just don't want to be bothered. You plan it. Don't like wake up and be like, I'm gonna use my PTO. Plan it. Plan it to be like on Friday, the 21st. I'm gonna take that day off. I have nothing planned, but I'm gonna use my PTO. You want to put those things in action. So I am going to challenge everyone here today that's on the live, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on TikTok, to pick one self-care habit that I talked about. And I talked about taking a real break, which is take your lunch, step away, take a break, protect your boundaries, fuel your body, create a stress-reducing routine, or advocate for yourself. I'm challenging everyone to take one of those things and put that into practice today. Self-care at work is not selfish. So it's essential because burnout is real and your well-being matters. So I want to thank everybody who came on live, both on TikTok and on YouTube. Every Wednesday at 6:30 in the morning, I go live to talk about self-care at work, because if we're not doing it at work, when are we doing it? Again, I want to thank you again for joining. Until next week.